She pressed her hands against his neck, knowing one of them would die tonight. Either he would, from what she was about to do to him, or she would, when his fiancée realized the betrayal. There was no third option anymore. The heart monitor beeped slower. 55 beats per minute. 52. 48. His eyes locked onto hers, and in that silent gaze, she saw everything. Trust, terror, love. He knew what she had to do. He knew it would destroy him, and he was letting her do it anyway. Behind them, in the shadows, Soo-jin watched with her phone raised, recording every moment, waiting for the man she poisoned to finally die. This is Ada Okafor, 26 years old. A brilliant Nigerian trauma surgeon trapped in a Seoul penthouse with a paralyzed billionaire and the woman who tried to murder him. 3 days ago, she was kidnapped from a hospital parking lot and dragged here. They told her the deal. Heal Min-jun Park, the most powerful real estate tycoon in South Korea, or watch her cancer-stricken mother die in Lagos. She had no choice. She had nothing, except one thing they didn't know about. Her grandfather's forbidden gift, the Kimbio Method, an ancient African healing technique that Western doctors call witchcraft. Brutal pressure points that refire dead nerves through controlled trauma. She'd used it once before, when she was 12, to heal her own mother from paralysis. It worked, but her family was exiled from their village, called demon worshippers. Her grandfather made her swear never to use it for money, never break the oath. The ancestors would be watching. But when they showed her the photo of her mother, dying in that Lagos hospital bed, Ada broke her promise. She took their $50,000. She came to this penthouse, and for 2 weeks, every night in the darkness, she put Min-jun through hell, refiring his nerves one agonizing session at a time while his fiancée, the woman who poisoned him, watched on hidden cameras she thought they didn't know about. And it worked. Slowly, impossibly, he began to heal. His hands moved. His arms strengthened. He could feel again. He could speak again. He stood for the first time in 6 months and told Ada he was falling in love with her. That's when everything went wrong. Soo-jin found the herbal medicine. She knew. She'd always known. She wanted him to recover just enough to have hope. Because she was going to kill him at his strongest. Make it look like the stress of recovery caused his heart to fail. Take his company. Destroy Ada. And get away with murder. Unless Ada destroyed him first. That's what they paid her double to do. Finish the job. Permanently paralyze him. Make it look like an accident. Tonight. Right now. With his heart rate dropping and Soo-jin watching and 60 seconds left before she had to choose. Save him by breaking him. Or let them both die. The monitor dropped to 45 beats per minute. Ada's hands trembled on his neck, positioned exactly where one wrong pressure point could sever his spinal cord forever. Min-jun's lips moved, forming words only she could see. Trust me. She pressed down. Hard. His body convulsed. His back arched. A scream tore from his throat, raw and terrible. The heart monitor went wild, then plummeted. 40 beats. 35. 30. Soo-jin stepped forward, her smile growing. 25 beats. 20. Then the monitor flatlined. One long, terrible beep. Ada pulled back, horror on her face. Real or performed? Even she wasn't sure anymore. Soo-jin's cold eyes met hers across Min-jun's still body. If you need to know if he survived, if Ada's mother lived, if love can cross oceans and cultures and impossible odds, then stop right now and hit that like button. Smash subscribe. And comment one word. Survive or die. Because what happens in the next 30 seconds will either save them both or destroy everything. Now let me show you how we got here. 3 days before this moment, when Ada was just a broke doctor, and she had no idea that one kidnapping would change 2 lives forever.
Her hands were shaking. One wrong move, and the most powerful man in Seoul dies on this table. But if she saves him, his fiancée will kill her mother. Ada Okafor closed her eyes and whispered a prayer in Igbo, the language of her ancestors. Her fingers hovered over Min-jun Park's bar spine, trembling. Behind her, Soo-jin watched with eyes like daggers, phone raised, recording everything. This is the moment a broke Nigerian doctor had to choose. Break her grandfather's sacred oath, or watch an innocent man die while his lover gets away with murder. Ada's hands descended onto his spine with conviction. Forgive me, grandfather, but I choose him. If you want to see what happens next in this impossible love story, smash that like button and subscribe, because what happens next will blow your mind. Now, let me take you back 72 hours to where this nightmare began. 72 hours earlier, Ada Okafor had a problem. Her mother, dying of cancer in Lagos. The treatment? $50,000 she didn't have. She was a brilliant trauma surgeon with a photographic memory, but her resident salary was nothing. In her tiny Seoul apartment, she stared at her grandfather's worn leather journal, filled with diagrams of pressure points and notes in Igbo about the Kimbio Method, an ancient healing technique Western doctors called witchcraft. She'd used it once before, when she was 12, to heal her paralyzed mother after doctors gave up. It worked, but her grandfather made her swear, never use it for money. Never break the oath. The ancestors are watching. That night, exhausted after a 14-hour shift, Ada walked through the hospital parking lot. She never heard them coming. A hand clamped over her mouth. A cloth pressed against her face. Chemical smell. Her vision blurred, tilted, went black. When she woke, she was lying on a plush leather couch in a penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the glittering Seoul skyline. A man stood near the window, tall, wearing an expensive suit. "You're awake," he said in accented English. "Good. We don't have much time. My name is Kong. I work for someone who needs your help." Ada's head pounded. "Help? You kidnapped me?" "Yes, because you wouldn't have come willingly." Kong gestured toward a door. "He's in there. Min-jun Park. You may have heard of him. He owns half the real estate in Gangnam. 6 months ago, he was in a car accident. Since then, he hasn't walked. The best neurologists in Asia say it's permanent." "Then why do you need me?" "I'm just a resident." "We don't need you because of your medical degree, Dr. Okafor. We need you because of what your hands can do. We know about your grandfather. We know about the Kimbio Method." Ada's blood turned to ice. "How do you?" "We're not asking. You will examine him. You will try to heal him. And if you refuse..." He pulled out his phone, showing her a photograph of her mother outside their house in Lagos. "Seoul has many rivers, Dr. Okafor. And accidents can happen anywhere in the world. Even Nigeria." The door opened. A woman entered, stunning with delicate features and perfectly styled hair, wearing a designer dress. But her eyes were cold. "Is this her?" the woman asked in Korean. "Yes, Miss Soo-jin," Kong replied. Soo-jin switched to flawless English, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Dr. Okafor, thank you for coming. I'm Soo-jin Shui, Min-jun's fiancée. I've heard so much about your grandfather's remarkable work." "You mean you threatened my family to get me here?" Ada shot back. Soo-jin's smile tightened. "Let's not be dramatic. We're offering you an opportunity. My fiancé needs help. You can provide it. In return, we'll compensate you generously. Enough to cover your mother's medical expenses and more. I want to see him first." Soo-jin's eyes flickered with something unreadable. "Of course. Follow me." They walked down a hallway to a spacious bedroom converted into a medical suite. Monitors beeped quietly. An adjustable hospital bed sat in the center. And in a wheelchair, by the window, sat a man. Even seated, Ada could tell Min-jun was tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp features twisted with barely contained rage. His eyes were dark, intelligent, burning with fury that made Ada take an involuntary step back. This was a man used to controlling everything, and his paralysis had turned him into a caged tiger. He didn't speak, just stared. "Min-jun, darling," Soo-jin said, her voice suddenly saccharine. "This is Dr. Okafor. She's going to help you walk again." Still, he said nothing. "He hasn't spoken since the accident," Soo-jin explained, but Ada detected a false note. "The trauma, the doctors say. But he understands everything. Mr. Park, I'm going to examine you. I need to check your reflexes, your muscle tone, your range of motion." His eyes followed her, but he gave no other response. Ada spent 30 minutes conducting a thorough examination. She checked his pupil responses, tested his reflexes, assessed his muscle tone. Soo-jin watched from the corner like a hawk. As Ada worked, something began to trouble her. The pattern of his paralysis was wrong. In a typical spinal injury from a car accident, certain reflexes would be absent, certain muscle groups affected. But Min-jun's presentation was different. Inconsistent. On impulse, Ada pressed hard into a specific pressure point behind his knee. For just a fraction of a second, she felt it, a micro tremor in his calf muscle. His face betrayed nothing, but Ada knew what she'd felt. She looked up and found his eyes locked on hers. A silent communication passed between them. "Well?" Soo-jin asked sharply. What's your assessment? Ada chose her words carefully. His paralysis is unusual. The pattern doesn't match typical spinal trauma from a car accident. Almost as if the paralysis is neurological rather than structural, caused by something affecting the nerves themselves. What are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything. Just that if it were neurological, it might not show up in standard blood work. Not if it were caused by a synthetic neurotoxin designed to mimic natural paralysis. The temperature in the room dropped. Soo-jin's smile became a thin line. That's quite an imagination you have, doctor. Are you suggesting my fiancé was poisoned? I'm just exploring diagnostic possibilities. But Ada saw the truth in Soo-jin's eyes. And when she glanced back at Min-jun, she saw the tiniest movement of his head. A nod so subtle, only someone watching closely would catch it. He had been poisoned, and he knew exactly who had done it. Well, Soo-jin said, her voice icy. I think we've had enough diagnostics for one day. Kong will show you to your room. You'll be staying here while you treat Min-jun. You're keeping me prisoner? We're keeping you safe and well compensated. Your mother's first treatment payment has already been wired to the hospital in Lagos. Check your phone. Ada's hand shook as she pulled out her phone. There was a message confirming receipt of a substantial payment. If you're feeling this emotion right now, that hope, that breakthrough moment, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel because this story is about to get even more intense. That night, around midnight, there was a soft knock on Ada's door. Kong stood there. He wants to see you. Alone. Miss Soo-jin has gone to her apartment for the night. Ada followed him back to Min-jun's room. Kong gestured for her to enter, then closed the door, standing guard outside. Min-jun was still in his wheelchair by the window, silhouetted against the city lights. Can you understand me? Ada asked softly. He turned his head. Then slowly, deliberately, he blinked twice. Blink once for no, twice for yes. Did Soo-jin poison you? 2 blinks. Does she know you're aware? 1 blink. No. Do you know why she did it? 2 blinks. Yes. Ada pulled up a chair. I need you to trust me, Mr. Park. I think I can help you, but not with conventional medicine. My grandfather taught me a method. It's ancient, it's painful, and Western doctors would call it witchcraft. But I've seen it work. The Kimbio Method works by refiring dormant nerve pathways through controlled trauma and pressure point manipulation. It's going to hurt worse than anything you've ever felt. You won't be able to scream, because if Soo-jin finds out, she'll kill us both. Can you endure that? Min-jun stared at her for a long moment. Then he blinked twice. There's something else. My grandfather made me promise never to use this method for money. But Soo-jin has already paid for my mother's treatment. She's using my mother as leverage. If I heal you, I'm breaking my grandfather's oath. But if I don't, my mother dies and you remain paralyzed. She felt tears burning in her eyes. I don't know what to do. For the first time, Min-jun's expression softened. His hand, which had been resting limply on the armrest, slowly moved. The movement was shaky, difficult, but deliberate. He reached toward a small table where a notepad and pen lay. With excruciating effort, his hand closed around the pen. Ada watched in amazement as he wrote, his handwriting shaky but legible. Not for money. For justice. She looked up at him, tears streaming. What happened to you? He wrote again, my brother. Sung-hoon, one of my company. Soo-jin was his spy. I knew. Couldn't prove. Needed time. So you let yourself be poisoned? He nodded, then wrote, control dose. Thought I could recover. Wrong. Getting worse. Need your help. Your brother? Is he dangerous? Min-jun's expression turned dark. He wrote, ruthless. If he knows I'm recovering, he'll escalate. Must be careful. Then we start tonight. But you need to trust me completely. This won't be like physical therapy. You'll want to scream. You'll want to stop. But you can't. Can you do that? Min-jun blinked twice, then wrote one more word, together. Ada retrieved her grandfather's journal and a leather belt from her room. When she returned, she locked the door. Bite down on this. Whatever happens, don't let go. Min-jun placed the leather between his teeth. Ada opened her grandfather's journal to a specific page, studying the diagram of pressure points. She took a deep breath, placed her hands on Min-jun's back, and began. The Kimbio Method was nothing like gentle therapy. Ada's fingers found specific points along his spine and pressed hard. Not massaging, but applying precise, brutal pressure designed to shock dormant nerves back to life. Min-jun's body went rigid. Tendons in his neck stood out like cords as he bit down on the leather. Sweat poured down his face, but he didn't make a sound. Ada worked systematically, each press sending what she knew must be lightning bolts of agony through his nervous system. Her grandfather's voice echoed in her mind. Pain is the map. Follow the path. The body will show you the way. After 20 excruciating minutes, she stopped. Min-jun was shaking, tears streaming down his face, but when she removed the belt from his mouth, he was smiling. Did you feel anything? In response, his right hand slowly curled into a fist. Ada's own tears came then. It's working. The stakes have never been higher. If you're on the edge of your seat right now, subscribe so you don't miss how this all plays out. Comment below what you think will happen next. Over the next 2 weeks, they fell into a careful routine. During the day, Ada performed conventional physical therapy, while Soo-jin watched with cold, suspicious eyes. Ada would make a show of treatments, applying heat packs, doing gentle stretches, shaking her head sadly, and reporting no significant improvement. But at night, when Soo-jin left, the real work began. Ada would lock the door and spend hours applying the Kimbio Method. Each session was agony for Min-jun, but each brought tiny victories. First, his hands regained full mobility. Then his arms grew stronger. After a week, sensation returned to his chest, his abdomen. During those long nights, they communicated through Min-jun's notes and Ada's whispered stories about Lagos, about her family, about growing up with a grandfather who was called a witch but was the kindest man she'd ever known. Min-jun wrote about his childhood, raised by a father who built a business empire but destroyed his family. About his younger brother Sung-hoon, who had always been jealous, always scheming. About Soo-jin, who he'd met at a charity gala 3 years ago, beautiful and charming and patient in her deception. I was lonely, he wrote one night. My fault for being blind. No, love makes us vulnerable. That's not a weakness. It's what makes us human. You believe in love? Ada smiled. I believe in the kind of love my parents had. My father died when I was 10. My mother never remarried. She said once you've known real love, everything else is just noise. Min-jun wrote, what does real love look like? My father was a professor. My mother sold fabrics in a market. Everyone said they were too different, but he said my mother was the only person who saw him as just a man, not a status symbol. Real love is seeing someone's soul, not their circumstances. Min-jun stared at what he'd written, then slowly tore the page out and handed it to her. On it was one word, like this. Their eyes met, and Ada felt something shift between them. This wasn't just doctor and patient anymore. But Ada stood up. We should stop for tonight. You need to rest. As she reached the door, Min-jun whispered, his first spoken words in months, rough and barely audible. Ada? Thank you. She turned back, shocked. You can speak? He nodded. Small words only. But yes. Soo-jin said you hadn't spoken since the accident. She said it was trauma. Min-jun's expression hadn't. Another lie. Ich chose silence. Safer. If they think me broken in mind and body, they lower guard. That's brilliant. You are brilliant. You gave me hope when I had none. The moment stretched between them, heavy with unspoken feelings. Ada forced herself to break it. Get some sleep. We have more work to do tomorrow. But that night, lying in bed, she couldn't stop thinking about the way he'd looked at her. About how her heart raced when their hands accidentally touched. About how wrong and how right it felt to be falling for a man engaged to the woman holding her mother's life as ransom. The next morning, everything changed. Ada was having breakfast when Soo-jin swept in with a man following her. Handsome in a polished corporate way, with the same intense eyes as Min-jun, but a crueler mouth. Dr. Okafor, Soo-jin said with her fake smile, this is Sung-hoon Park, Min-jun's younger brother. Ada's blood ran cold. Sung-hoon extended his hand. Dr. Okafor, I've heard so much about you. You've come all the way from Lagos to help my poor brother. How noble. His English was perfect, his smile charming, but Ada could see the calculation in his eyes. I'm just doing my job. Of course. And how is the patient? Any improvement? Unfortunately, no significant progress. The nerve damage appears permanent. How tragic. Sung-hoon didn't look disappointed. Still, I'm sure you're doing everything you can. Soo-jin tells me you're using unconventional methods. African traditional medicine? Just supplementary techniques. Nothing that's shown real results. Sung-hoon walked to the window. You know, Dr. Okafor, I've been thinking about my brother's future. He's been like this for 6 months. At some point, we have to be realistic. The company needs leadership. Your brother is still very much alive. Sung-hoon turned with a smile like a knife. Of course, but alive and capable of leading are two different things. Perhaps it's time to consider alternative arrangements. For everyone's good. The threat was clear. After Sung-hoon left, Soo-jin lingered. You look pale, doctor. Is something wrong? No, I'm fine. Soo-jin stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. I hope you're not getting any ideas. Bowed Min-jun. I see the way you look at him. Ada's heart stopped. I don't know what you're. Don't play games with me. I know what happens in those night sessions. I know he can speak. I know he's regaining movement. Ada felt the world tilt beneath her feet. If you know, then why haven't you stopped us? Soo-jin's smile was terrifying. Because, my dear doctor, I've been using you. Did you really think it was an accident that we found you? I've been researching the Kimbio technique for months. I needed someone who could heal Min-jun just enough. Just enough for what? Just enough for him to think he has a chance. Just enough to believe he can reclaim his life. And then, when he's at his most hopeful, when he thinks he's won, Soo-jin's eyes glittered with malice. That's when Sung-hoon and I will take everything. Min-jun will have a tragic relapse. The stress of recovery, the doctors will say, and you'll be blamed. Your unconventional methods will be questioned. You'll be deported, possibly prosecuted. Either way, too discredited to say anything. You're a monster. I'm a survivor. Min-jun was a means to an end. When Sung-hoon approached me 2 years ago with a better offer, I made the smart choice. Why are you telling me this? Because I see the way you look at him, and the way he looks at you. I'm warning you, woman to woman. Don't fall in love with Min-jun Park. He's a dead man walking. Save yourself. Take the money, heal your mother, and forget you were ever here. She paused at the door. Oh, and Dr. Okafor, your mother received her second treatment payment this morning. The cancer is responding well. Don't throw her life away for a man you barely know. After Soo-jin left, Ada stood frozen. She should run. Take the money and leave. Her mother was getting treatment. But she thought of Min-jun's eyes in the darkness, the way his hand had trembled as he wrote together, the sound of his voice saying her name. She thought of the strength it took to endure those sessions without making a sound. She thought of real love, the kind her parents had, the kind that sees a person's soul. Ada made her decision. That night, when she entered Min-jun's room, she sat down across from him. Soo-jin knows. She knows about the night sessions. She knows you're recovering. Min-jun's expression didn't change. He reached for his notepad. I know she knows. What? How? He wrote quickly. Cameras. I found them weeks ago. Hidden in the room. I've been performing for her too. So when we do the sessions, I control what she sees. The cameras have blind spots. I position the wheelchair carefully. She sees pain. She doesn't see progress. But why let her think she's winning? Min-jun set down the pen and spoke, his voice growing stronger. Because I need to know the full extent of their plan. If I recovered too quickly, they would change tactics. This way, I learn everything. Who is involved? How deep the betrayal goes. When they plan to strike. She told me about their plan today. They're going to wait until you're almost recovered, then kill you. Make it look like the stress caused a relapse. I suspected as much. My brother was always patient. So what do? We play the longer game. Min-jun reached out and took her hand, his grip now firm and warm. Ada, when this started, you were a means to an end for me too. A way to regain my strength. But these past weeks, talking to you, learning your heart, you've become something else. Min-jun, let me finish. You become my reason. Not revenge. Not the company. You. When I endure the pain of your treatments, it's your face I see. When I force my body to do impossible things, it's because I want to stand beside you. Not as a patient, but as a man. Tears spilled down Ada's cheeks. I can't love you. Your fiancé is holding my mother's life hostage. You're engaged. This whole situation is impossible. Life is impossible until someone makes it possible. Min-jun stood, actually stood without the wheelchair, his legs shaking but holding his weight. Ada gasped. I've been practicing. Every night after you leave. 3 days ago, I took my first step. He took a trembling step toward her. Then another. His face was tight with concentration and effort, but he kept moving until he stood directly in front of her. I'm not engaged. I'm not engaged to Soo-jin in my heart. That was always a business arrangement I mistook for something more. She showed me her true self. You showed me yours. I know which one I choose. Even if choosing me means you could lose everything. I already lost everything when I lost my ability to trust, to feel, to love. You gave those things back to me. The rest is just noise. Ada stood, and they were face to face, inches apart. My grandfather said the healer and the one being healed share a bond. That the Kimbio Method doesn't just heal the body. It creates a soul connection. I thought it was poetry, but I feel it. I feel you. Min-jun cupped her face in his hands. In Korean culture, we have a concept called inyan, fate that brings two people together through the ties of past and present. I believe we have inyan, Ada. I came into your life because I was kidnapped. The method doesn't matter, only the result. He leaned down, his forehead touching hers. I'm falling in love with you, Ada Okafor. It's terrifying and impossible and completely illogical, but it's the truest thing I've felt in years. I'm falling in love with you too, and it scares me to death. They stood like that, breathing each other in. Then Min-jun pulled back slightly. We need a plan. Sung-hoon is getting impatient. I heard him on the phone yesterday, talking about accelerating the timeline. I think they're planning to act soon. What do we do? They're watching everything. We're not just anything. You're a brilliant doctor with abilities most people don't believe exist. I'm a man who built an empire from nothing. Together, we're formidable. Min-jun moved back to his wheelchair. The cameras were still watching. I have a plan, but I need you to trust me. And I need you to do something that will be very hard. What? I need you to appear to betray me. Over the next hour, Min-jun laid out his strategy. It was dangerous, complex, and required perfect timing. The next morning, Ada requested a meeting with Soo-jin and Sung-hoon. They gathered in the formal sitting room. I want to renegotiate our arrangement. Sung-hoon leaned back. What exactly do you want to renegotiate, doctor? My compensation. You're paying me to heal Min-jun, but you haven't been honest about your intentions. I know what you're planning. The relapse. The takeover. All of it. Soo-jin's eyes narrowed. I don't know what you're talking about. Please. I'm not stupid. I've had weeks to observe. I know Min-jun can't stand. I know his recovery has plateaued. And I know you two are waiting for the right moment to take control of his company. Here's what I'm proposing. You want him permanently incapacitated? I can do that. The Kimbio Method works both ways. The same pressure points that heal can also harm. I can make sure he never walks again. But it's going to cost you double what you're paying me now. Sung-hoon and Soo-jin exchanged glances. You would do that? Harm your patient? He's not my patient. He's my job. And my mother is still sick. One payment isn't enough to cover years of care. You want me to be mercenary? Fine, but pay me accordingly. There was a long silence. Then Sung-hoon smiled. I knew I liked you, Dr. Okafor. You're practical. When can you do it? Tonight, during the regular session. I'll apply pressure to the cervical spine in a specific way. It will look like I'm helping, but it will cause permanent nerve damage. By morning, he'll be worse than when I started. Completely paralyzed from the neck down. And if we refuse, then I'll keep treating him. Maybe he'll recover. Maybe he won't. But you'll have lost your chance to control the outcome. Sung-hoon stood and walked to the window. Finally, he turned. Double the payment. Half now, half when the job is done. And Dr. Okafor, if you're thinking of double-crossing us, remember, we know where your mother is. I understand. Transfer the first half by noon. I'll take care of the rest tonight. After they left, Ada returned to her room and allowed herself to shake. The first phase was complete. That afternoon, her phone buzzed with a transfer notification. She stared at the amount, more money than she'd ever seen. For a brief moment, she wondered if she should go through with the betrayal. Take the money. Disappear. But then she remembered Min-jun's hand in hers. His voice saying her name. The way he'd stood on trembling legs just to be closer to her. She deleted the notification and prepared for the night ahead. When evening came, Soo-jin personally escorted Ada to Min-jun's room. I'll be watching the monitor feed, just to make sure everything goes according to plan. Of course, Min-jun was in his wheelchair as usual, but when their eyes met, Ada saw the steel in his gaze. Ada began the session normally, applying the Kimbio pressure points. But then, slowly, she shifted position. Her hands moved to his neck, to the cervical spine. She pressed her fingers against specific points that, if manipulated wrong, could cause catastrophic damage. Min-jun's body went rigid. This was the moment. Ada pressed harder, and Min-jun did something extraordinary. He screamed. It was raw, agonized, echoing through the penthouse. His body convulsed. His eyes rolled back. Then slowly, his head lolled to one side, and he went completely still. Ada stepped back, hands shaking. She'd pressed the points that would cause temporary paralysis, combined with a sedative she'd slipped into his evening tea. To anyone watching, it looked catastrophic. The door burst open. Soo-jin rushed in, followed by Kong. What happened? What did you do? I don't know. I was applying the treatment like always, but something went wrong. He's not responding. Soo-jin checked his pulse, his breathing. Her face showed alarm, but Ada caught the flash of triumph in her eyes. Call an ambulance. No. If we call an ambulance, they'll ask questions. They'll investigate. Do you really want doctors examining what I did? Soo-jin paused, then nodded. You're right. We'll handle this privately. Kong lifted Min-jun's limp body and placed him on the hospital bed. Ada monitored his vitals, her face a mask of professional concern. The sedative would keep him under for hours. Well, Dr. Okafor, Sung-hoon said from the doorway, I'd say you've earned your payment. My brother appears completely incapacitated now. This wasn't supposed to happen so dramatically. I miscalculated the pressure. Don't be sorry. This is perfect. Better than we planned. A sudden neurological crisis. So tragic. The company will need new leadership immediately. What about me? I can't stay here. If anyone investigates, you'll be on a plane to Lagos by morning, with your full payment and a generous bonus for your efficiency. Your mother will receive the best care money can buy, and you'll forget you were ever in Seoul. Fine by me. I just want to go home. But as she left the room, she allowed herself one last look at Min-jun's still form. Their plan was in motion. That night, Ada packed slowly, listening. Around midnight, she heard Sung-hoon and Soo-jin in the hallway, voices low but celebratory. The board meeting is tomorrow at 10. I'll announce Min-jun's condition. They'll vote me in as chairman by noon. And a girl? Already booked on the 6 a.m. flight to Lagos. She'll be gone before anyone can ask questions. Their footsteps faded. Ada waited another hour, then slipped out. The penthouse was dark. She made her way to Min-jun's room. He was still on the bed, but his eyes were open. The sedative had worn off. Did it work? Perfectly. They think you're completely paralyzed. Sung-hoon is taking over the company tomorrow. Good. Min-jun slowly sat up. The temporary paralysis had worn off. Help me to the wheelchair. We need to move quickly. Are you sure about this? Once we do this, there's no going back. I've never been more sure of anything. He took her hand. Ada, after tonight, I'll either have everything back or lose it all. But regardless of what happens, you've already given me the most important thing. You've given me hope. You've given me love. Ada kissed him then, soft and quick, but full of promise. Let's go get your life back. They moved through the darkened penthouse to Min-jun's private office. He unlocked a hidden safe and pulled out a thick folder. For months, I've been gathering evidence. Financial records, recorded conversations, proof that Sung-hoon embezzled from the company, proof that Soo-jin was working with him. I just needed time to compile everything, and I needed them to think they'd won, so they'd get careless. What are you going to do with it? We're going to the board meeting tomorrow, together, and we're going to show them exactly what kind of people they were about to put in charge. But they think you're paralyzed. They think I've left the country. Min-jun smiled. I know. Imagine their surprise. The next morning, at exactly 9:45, Ada and Min-jun arrived at Park Industries headquarters. Min-jun was walking slowly with a cane, but walking. Ada was beside him in a professional suit. The receptionist's jaw dropped. Mr. Park, but we were told. I'm Fina. Is the board meeting in session? It's about to start, But sir, your brother said. I know what my brother said. They took the elevator to the 42nd floor. As they walked toward the boardroom, Ada's heart hammered. Min-jun paused outside the door. Last chance to run. I didn't come this far to run now. He smiled, then pushed open the door. The boardroom fell silent. Sung-hoon stood at the head of the table, mid-sentence, mouth opening in shock. Soo-jin was seated nearby, color draining from her face. Around the table, 12 board members stared in stunned disbelief. Hello, brother. I hope I'm not interrupting. Min-jun, this is impossible. We were told you had a neurological crisis. That you were completely paralyzed. Is that what you were told? How unfortunate that the information was incorrect. Min-jun made his way to his chair at the head of the table. Actually, I've been recovering quite well, thanks to Dr. Okafor's exceptional care. But Soo-jin said, one of the board members began. Soo-jin said many things. Most of them lies, which is why I'm here today. Not to discuss my health, but the future of this company and the people who try to steal it. He opened the folder and began distributing documents. What you're looking at is evidence of systematic embezzlement by my brother over the past 3 years. He's stolen approximately $50 million, hiding it through shell corporations and false contracts. Sung-hoon's face went from pale to red. This is absurd. I would never. You would and you did. I have bank records, testimony from your accountant, and recordings of your conversations with Soo-jin Choi, who you enlisted to help you. Min-jun's voice was steady. You poisoned me, brother. Not enough to kill me outright, but enough to incapacitate me while you positioned yourself to take everything I built. The room erupted. Board members shouting. Soo-jin backing toward the door. Sung-hoon's face contorting with rage. You can't prove any of this. Your so-called evidence is probably fabricated. The stress of her treatments has affected your mind. Actually, Ada spoke for the first time. The Kimbio Method is a recognized traditional healing practice. And I'm happy to testify about the treatment regimen, including the part where your fiancé offered me money to permanently paralyze Mr. Park. Soo-jin had reached the door, but Kong was there, blocking her exit. It's over. Min-jun looked at his brother. I'm not pressing charges. I'm not sending you to prison. But you're done with this company. You're done with me. Take your girlfriend and leave. If I ever see either of you again, then I will prosecute. Sung-hoon stared at his brother, and for a moment, Ada saw something flicker, regret, maybe. But then his expression hardened. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not seeing your true nature sooner. Sung-hoon and Soo-jin left. The boardroom slowly settled. Mr. Kim, the elderly chairman, cleared his throat. Well, Mr. Park, this has been quite the revelation. I think we need time to process this. But I speak for everyone when I say we're glad to see you recovering. Thank you, Mr. Kim. But before we adjourn, there's one more thing. Min-jun stood, and Ada stood with him. Dr. Okafor saved my life. Not just physically, but my ability to trust, to hope, to feel. I'm establishing a new division of Park Industries dedicated to integrative medicine research. Dr. Okafor will head it. We're going to study traditional healing methods from around the world and find ways to incorporate them into modern medicine. He looked at Ada, his eyes warm. And on a personal note, I'm asking this brilliant, brave, beautiful woman to stay in Seoul. Not as my doctor, but as my partner, in business and in life. The room went silent again. Ada felt tears streaming down her face as Min-jun took her hand. Ada Okafor, I know this is sudden. I know we've only known each other for weeks. I know there are 1,000 reasons why this is impractical. But I've learned that love doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It creates it. Will you stay? Will you build something with me? Ada thought of her grandfather's words. The body doesn't lie. Her body was telling her that this man, this moment, this impossible love was real. Yes, I'll stay. The board members erupted in applause. Mr. Kim was smiling. Kong, standing guard at the door, allowed himself a small, satisfied nod. But the best part was Min-jun's face. Pure joy transforming his features as he pulled Ada into his arms. He was standing on his own 2 feet. He was whole, and he was hers. If you're feeling emotional right now, hit that like button and subscribe because we're not done yet. there's one more part to this story you need to hear. 6 months later, Ada stood in the grand ballroom of the Park Industries building, addressing a room full of medical professionals from around the world. Her integrative medicine division had become one of the most innovative programs in Asia, bringing together traditional healers and modern doctors to share knowledge. Min-jun stood at the back of the room, watching her with pride. He'd made a full recovery, though he still used a cane on difficult days. But those days were growing fewer, and Ada was always there when he needed her. After the presentation, as they walked through Seoul streets together, Min-jun stopped at a small park overlooking the Han River. My mother used to bring me here when I was a boy, before the business consumed everything, before I forgot how to just be. And now I remember. You taught me that healing isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about becoming whole again. Mind, body, and spirit. Ada smiled. My grandfather would have liked you. He always said the best students are the ones who teach the teacher something new. What did I teach you? That love is the ultimate healing. That sometimes the person who saves you is the one you thought you were saving. That yin is real. Min-jun kissed her then, soft and sweet, and Ada felt complete. She'd come to Seoul as a prisoner, desperate and alone. She found purpose, love, and a home in the most unexpected place. Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother in Lagos. The doctors say, I'm in remission. Were you bringing that young man home to meet me? Ada laughed and showed Min-jun the message. Well, he said with a grin, I suppose I should meet the woman who raised such an extraordinary daughter. Think she'll approve of me? She'll love you, just like I do. As they walked hand in hand through the park, the Seoul skyline glittering behind them, Ada thought about the journey that had brought them here. The pain, the fear, the impossible choices, but also the healing, the hope, the love that had grown in the darkness. Her grandfather had been right about everything. The Kimbio Method wasn't just about pressure points and nerve pathways. It was about connection, about seeing someone's soul and refusing to give up on them, about the sacred bond between healer and healed. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, that bond became something even more precious. Love. 3 weeks later, Ada stood in her childhood home in Lagos, surrounded by the warm chaos of her extended family. Her mother, vibrant and healthy now, moved through the kitchen with practiced ease, preparing jollof rice and egusi soup. The house smelled like home, palm oil, spices, laughter. Min-jun sat in the living room, surrounded by Ada's uncles and cousins, attempting to follow a conversation that kept switching between English, Igbo, and Yoruba. He looked slightly overwhelmed, but genuinely happy. Every few minutes, his eyes would search the room until they found Ada, and he'd smile. Your young man is very polite, Ada's mother said, stirring the pot. But I need to know something, my daughter. What, Mama? Does he love you the way your father loved me? Does he see you? Or does he see the woman who healed him? Ada watched Min-jun laugh at something her uncle said, watched him try to pronounce an Igbo phrase and completely butcher it, watch him not care that he looked foolish because he was trying. He sees me, Mama. All of me. The healer and the woman. The strong parts and the scared parts. He sees my soul. Her mother stopped stirring and turned to face her. Then he is worthy of you. Bring him to the kitchen. Let me feed him properly. That evening, after the meal, after the stories and the laughter, after her aunties had interrogated Min-jun about everything from his business to his intentions to whether he could cook, Ada and Min-jun stepped out onto the small balcony. The Lagos night was warm, humid, alive with the sounds of the city. Your family is incredible, Min-jun said, loud and warm and so full of life. Nothing like mine. They loved you. My uncle Chidi said you have a good spirit. That's high praise from him. I was terrified they'd hate me. The man who kept their daughter away from home. Ada took his hand. I'm not away from home. I'm building a new one. With you. Min-jun pulled a small box from his pocket. Ada's breath caught. I know we said we'd take things slowly. I know we agreed to wait. But I've learned something these past months, Ada. When you've been given a second chance at life, you don't waste time. You don't wait for the perfect moment. He opened the box. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, with a deep blue sapphire surrounded by small diamonds. This stone is called a star sapphire. In Korean tradition, it represents fate and destiny. The kind of destiny that brings two souls together across oceans and circumstances. In-yun, he got down on one knee, right there on her mother's balcony, with Legos humming around them. Ada Okafor, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life loving you, learning from you, healing with you? Ada pulled him up, tears streaming. You're not proposing on your knees. We're equals, remember? She cupped his face in her hands. Yes, I'll marry you. On one condition. Anything. We split our time. 6 months in Seoul. 6 months in Lagos. I won't abandon my community the way my grandfather had to. And I want our children to know both worlds. Min-jun is widened. Children? Eventually. If you want them. I want everything with you. He slipped a ring onto her finger. Seoul and Lagos. Kimbio and modern medicine. Korean and Nigerian. All of it. Everything that makes you who you are. The balcony door opened. Ada's mother stood there, trying to look stern but failing to hide her smile. Are you going to stand out here all night, or are you going to come inside and tell everyone the good news? The whole family is waiting. They've been listening at the door for the past 10 minutes. Ada and Min-jun burst out laughing as they went back inside, hand in hand, to the chaos and joy of her family celebration. Ada sent up a silent prayer to her grandfather. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me that healing is more than medicine. Thank you for showing me that the greatest power we have is the power to see each other's humanity. Thank you for the Kimbio Method, which brought me to the other side of the world and gave me everything I never knew I needed. And thank you for watching over me. The ancestors were watching, just like you said, and they led me exactly where I needed to be. 1 year later, the Seoul National Hospital hosted an unprecedented conference. Doctors from Harvard and Johns Hopkins sat alongside traditional healers from Nigeria, China, India, and Korea. At the podium, Dr. Ada Okafor Park presented the findings from her integrative medicine division's first year of research. The Kimbio Method, when applied correctly and combined with modern physiotherapy, showed a 43% improvement in recovery rates for nerve damage patients. She explained, clicking through slides showing detailed case studies. But more importantly, it showed us something Western medicine has forgotten. Healing is not just a mechanical process. It's relational. The bond between healer and patient, the trust, the shared commitment to recovery. These aren't just nice additions to treatment. They're essential components. In the audience, Min-jun sat in the front row, no longer needing his cane. Beside him sat Ada's mother, who had flown in from Lagos for the event. They'd become close over the past year, bonding over their shared love for Ada and their shared experience of being healed by the Kimbio Method. My daughter has always been extraordinary, her mother whispered to Min-jun. Even as a child, she could feel things others couldn't, see things others missed. Her grandfather knew. That's why he chose her. She chose herself, Min-jun replied. That's what makes her remarkable. After the presentation, during the reception, an elderly Korean man approached Ada. He was dressed in traditional hanbok, his face weathered but kind. Dr. Park, he said in Korean, which Ada now spoke fluently. I am Master Yun. I've practiced traditional Korean medicine for 60 years. When I heard about your work, I was skeptical. Another Western doctor trying to profit from our ancient knowledge, I thought. Ada waited, holding her breath. But after hearing your presentation, after seeing your results, after learning your story, the master bowed deeply. I was wrong. You understand. You truly understand. Your grandfather would be proud. Tears filled Ada's eyes. Thank you. That means more than you know. Master Yun straightened. I would like to work with your division. I have techniques passed down through 7 generations. I've been looking for someone worthy to share them with. Someone who will honor them, not exploit them. We would be honored. As Master Yun walked away, Min-jun appeared at Ada's side, slipping his arm around her waist. Another convert to the Kimbio revolution? Ada laughed. Not Kimbio. Something bigger. A revolution of remembering that healing has always been about more than just fixing bodies. It's about restoring souls. Speaking of souls, Min-jun said, I have something to tell you. Ada turned to face him, noting the slight nervousness in his expression. What is it? If you're already hooked on this story, Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel because you can't afford to miss what would happen next. I met with the board yesterday. We've established a foundation, the Ada Okafor Foundation for Integrative Medicine. It will fund research, provide scholarships for traditional healers to study modern medicine and vice versa, and offer free treatment to patients who can't afford it. Min-jun, that's incredible. There's more. The foundation's first initiative is in Lagos. We're building a clinic in your old neighborhood. State-of-the-art facilities combined with traditional Nigerian healing practices. Your mother will help us select the healers to staff it. Ada's hand went to her mouth. You did this? We did this. This whole journey, everything we've built, it started because you refused to let me give up, because you saw me when I was broken and chose to fight for me anyway. Now I want to fight for everyone who feels broken, everyone who's been told they're hopeless, everyone who just needs someone to believe in them. Ada kissed him right there, in the middle of the reception, surrounded by doctors and healers from around the world. When they finally pulled apart, Master Yun was standing nearby, a knowing smile on his face. In-yun, he said simply, this is what in-yun looks like. When two souls are meant to find each other, not even oceans can keep them apart. That night, in their Seoul apartment, Ada and Min-jun stood on the balcony looking out at the city lights. Inside, Ada's grandfather's journal lay open on the table, its pages filled with wisdom that had traveled across generations and continents to bring them together. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Kong hadn't kidnapped you that night? Min-jun asked. Sometimes. But then I remember what my grandfather used to say. There are no accidents. Only paths we haven't recognized yet. Do you think he knew? That teaching you the Kimbio Method would lead you here? Ada smiled. I think he knew that healing has a power beyond what we can see. That when you dedicate yourself to truly seeing another person's pain and refusing to look away, something magical happens. Connections form. Lives change. Love grows. She turned to face Min-jun, taking both his hands in hers. You asked me once what real love looks like. I've been thinking about that. Real love looks like this. Like choosing each other every day, even when it's hard. Like building something together that's bigger than both of us. Like standing side by side and deciding that the world needs more healing, and we're going to provide it. Min-jun pulled her close. I love you, Ada Okafor Park. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for teaching me that being broken isn't the end of the story. Sometimes it's just the beginning. I love you too. And thank you for standing up. Not just physically, but in every way that matters. For standing up for what's right. For standing beside me. For standing with everyone who needs healing. They stood there together as the soul night deepened around them. Two souls who had found each other across impossible odds. United by pain, healed by love, and committed to bringing the healing to a world that desperately needed it. And somewhere, in the space between the visible and invisible, between the scientific and the sacred, Ada's grandfather smiled. His granddaughter had not just preserved the Kimbio Method. She had transformed it, evolved it, shared it with the world in a way that honored its origins while embracing its future. The ancestors were watching, and they were pleased. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in the power of healing and love, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me what part resonated with you most. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that being broken isn't the end, that love can cross any divide, that healing is always possible when two people refuse to give up on each other. Did you see that coming? If Sujin just gave you chills, smash that like button. And drop a comment if you think Ada should trust Min-jun's plan or get out while she still can. Now, let's see what Ada decides do well to subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing. And remember, the greatest healing we can offer each other isn't always medical. Sometimes it's just the courage to see someone's pain and say, I'm here. I see you. And I'm not going anywhere.